and brought India's domestic system into closer conformity with international non-proliferation standards. With all that we've accomplished together, the groundwork was laid for last year's joint statement between President Obama and Prime Minister Singh, where the United States agreed to further expand high-technology cooperation and trade, and India committed, among other things, to ensure a level playing field for U.S. companies seeking to enter the Indian nuclear energy sector. The United States has moved quickly to fulfill these additional commitments. Within a matter of months, our Department of Commerce removed 9 Indian entities from its entities list. Based on India's commitment to adopt Wassenaar arrangement controls, we decided to proactively relax our licensing policies on a broad range of dual-use military equipment under the Strategic Trade Authorization Regulation, which was finalized this summer. And our diplomats have been active this year, working with members of the 4 multilateral export control regimes to support India's bid for full membership. However, as this audience knows well, and as we heard from the lawyers yesterday, unease persists about the current playing field in the Indian nuclear energy sector. This is not insurmountable, and in fact, through engagement with the IAEA, we believe that any concerns can be addressed and mitigated in a way that satisfies all of India's international partners. As Deputy Secretary of State Burns said earlier this week in Washington, completing our civil nuclear cooperation partnership is central to both our nation's long-term prosperity and India's future energy security. For international and Indian firms to participate in India's civil nuclear sector, India needs a nuclear liability regime consistent with international standards. To this end, we welcome India's commitment to ratify the Convention on Supplemental Compensation later this year, and we encourage India to engage with the IAEA to ensure that the liability regime that India adopts by law fully conforms with the international requirements under the Convention. Just like last week in Washington, Finance Minister Mukherjee reiterated that India is committed to ratifying the CSC before the end of this year, showing that our two governments are in lockstep on this critical element of our civil nuclear partnership. One thing our bilateral civil nuclear cooperation has taught all of us is that by working together, our two countries can tackle even the toughest of problems. As Secretary Clinton noted when she was in Chennai earlier this year, if we redouble our efforts, we are poised to go even further in our civil nuclear cooperation. And the commercial opportunities in India's nuclear energy market continue to grow every day. As everyone in this audience is aware, India has the largest number of reactors planned or under construction of any country in the world. Coupled with heavy investment in infrastructure, the recent discovery of uranium deposits in Andhra Pradesh, and an increasing reliance on private enterprise, there are vast commercial opportunities in virtually every segment of the Indian nuclear energy market. These aren't far-fetched opportunities reserved for a privileged few. Tapping these opportunities means that education can be transformed through reliable electricity to power computers or smartphones. Transportation can be revolutionized through the use of hybrid vehicles and light rail trains. And commercial opportunities can emerge for anyone with a good idea and entrepreneurial zeal, not just those who have access to captive power generators in Gurgaon or high-tech city, where multinational firms have the benefit of supplying their own power. Thanks to Indian and American diplomatic effort, India can now select from a wide choice of international nuclear suppliers to supplement its indigenous efforts. But I assure you that American technology and American companies are the best the world has to offer. For starters, the U.S. has over 50 years' experience operating and maintaining the largest fleet of nuclear energy reactors anywhere in the world at world-class levels of safety and reliability. Almost half of the nuclear power plants in the world are based on the Westinghouse pressurized water technology, and nearly 20% are based on GE's boiling water technology. That means more than 60% of the world's reactors are based on technology developed in the United States, and every day our firms continue to innovate, setting an ever higher bar for next-generation nuclear energy technologies. And we are open for business. In fact, U.S. companies representing the full spectrum of commercial nuclear activities have participated in 6 commercial trade missions to India in the past few years. These companies represent the best of corporate America, including major engineering and construction companies such as Bechtel, CH2M Hill, Fluor, Shaw Group, and URS, reactor design vendors such as General Electric and Westinghouse, but also designers of small modular reactors such as Babcock and Wilcox, Holtec, and NuScale. Specialized component suppliers such as Transco Products. A range of fuel producers, including converters such as Converdyne, and fuel enrichers such as USEC, and GE. And finally, nuclear plant operators such as Exelon and Entergy, which offer the plant management models that yield the highest capacity factors among the world's large reactor fleets. I hope these commercial interactions will travel in both directions. Today, I would like to renew the invitation made by former Secretary of Commerce Gary Locke to bring a trade mission from India to the United States for meetings with counterparts in government, at manufacturing facilities, at our national research laboratories, and education institutions. This visit could also be an opportunity for Indian business leaders to learn more about how to navigate the U.S. export control licensing process, and should debunk any lingering concerns that license requirements for a particular item means a license will be denied. The Departments of State and Commerce have planned additional outreach work in India that we hope will further help to dispel these myths about U.S. export controls. I should note unequivocally that all of our companies involved in these missions have the strong support of the United States government. It is also important that these companies have full confidence in the investment climate in India and in the hospitality of its national regulations, bearing in mind the long shelf life of civil nuclear projects and the capital investment that civil nuclear infrastructure requires. The United States was pleased to hear a clear, consistent message from the government of India last week in Chicago, Washington, and New York, not only extolling the growth benefits of investing in India, but also reflecting that the government of India is committed to making itself a predictable and safe place to invest. As we look ahead to the future of our civil nuclear relationship, we are additionally encouraged by our rapidly expanding science and technology cooperation. This year, the U.S. Department of Energy and India's Department of Atomic Energy signed an implementing agreement on discovery science that provides the framework for India's participation in the next generation particle accelerator facility at Fermilab. This agreement is the latest step in deepening cooperation between the U.S. and India on a wide range of clean energy and scientific fronts, and will enable us to pursue new scientific discoveries together and to advance our shared clean energy goals. This cooperation is broad-based and rapidly expanding. The Indo-U.S. Science and Technology Forum, along with its U.S. counterpart, the India Science and Technology Partnership, has facilitated travel for nearly 10,000 scientists between the United States and India, has established 24 joint research centers, and organized more than 30 training programs and 150 bilateral conferences, 2/3 of which have resulted in long-term research partnerships. The Indo-U.S. Civil Nuclear Working Group, chaired by India's Department of Atomic Energy and the U.S. Department of Energy, has developed an action plan and will focus on cooperation on both high-temperature gas reactors and nuclear safety in the coming year. We intend to sustain our efforts to expand scientific collaboration in this important area and to build on these successes. And we look forward to similar successes in the near future for U.S. companies in the Indian nuclear energy marketplace. Ladies and gentlemen, we've all learned that crafting and implementing a civil nuclear agreement between two large democracies is a long and complex endeavor. It has been an evolving process that ultimately will allow citizens from both our countries to thrive and prosper throughout the 21st century. In the face of inevitable setbacks, we persevered, worked together, and accomplished what our leaders resolved to do. Now we must implement. I believe that Secretary Clinton's vision of the day when computers of a school in Gujarat are powered by a reactor designed in America will not only mark the successful completion of our 6-year civil nuclear cooperation effort, but will be the first page of a new and promising chapter in our relationship. Political and domestic challenges often garner press headlines, but it's important to remember that this relationship has survived changes in the political landscape in both countries. No matter what the variables of domestic politics, both governments are fully committed to realizing the potential of our relationship in a way that will ensure peace and prosperity for literally billions of people. The future of the U.S.-India partnership has never been brighter, driven by core strategic congruity, extraordinary people-to-people ties, and historic cooperation on civil nuclear energy. It will only grow stronger in the century that lies before us. Thank you very much.